Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Financially Fit Podcast. I am your host, Andre Creighton. Thank you all for being here with me today. For those that are new, welcome to the podcast. I hope you find something fruitful out of our conversation today. For those that are returning, thank you so much for continuing to rock with me here in 2025. It's been an interesting start to 2025 to say the least. We're starting to see right away how the new administration is going to move. Whether you're Republican or Democrat or in between doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, we're all people. We all have our own values and belief systems, and I respect everyone's perspective because I think at the end of the day, the perspective is what drives people's ability to connect. And I think that we've lost a little bit of that ability to take a step back and really hear other perspectives that may differ from what you believe. I know that's something that I try to do in my life. I surround myself oftentimes in my personal life with people that think differently than me. I surround myself with people in my working life that think differently than me. And I think that's what creates the perspective that allows you to connect as people. And I've found it to be very profoundly important in my life journey. So, with that being said, today's topic is value based spending. And I think this folds right into some of the things that we're seeing here in our society today with the new Trump administration. So, as you know, Trump took over office here on the 20th, which happened to be Martin Luther King Day as well. I don't want that to be overshadowed, but I think both instances were very important. Um, and I think as he started to make his executive orders, there's been a lot of push on DEI and a lot of pushback on removing DEI in not only in federal government but also across corporations. And we're starting to see a lot of those corporations that, after George Floyd started to make DEI statements and implement DEI, roll back the very things that they had said that they were important and values to them. You know, I will start by saying I'm not surprised. At the end of the day, money will always be the driver of money and power will always be the driver of big corporations. I do think that it's important for us to think about as we are moving into these next 4 years. Um, Value-based spending. Whatever your value system is, um, whether you support DEI or you don't, whatever that may be, I encourage you to align your spending habits in society with those. It actually came out the other day that Reverend Al Sharpton, he is pushing a national boycott on companies that are rolling back DEI. In fact, he is actually hiring individuals over the next 90 days to do a thorough analysis on companies and corporations that are rolling back DEI services. And they're doing a look back into the actual revenue margins of those corporations. And he is going to curate a list of those organizations, and they will be on the become on the boycott list. Um, I think that it's a very interesting tactic. I think that for a very long time, uh, there has been a lot of um, people that consumers specifically that spend money, and they're spending money with organizations that don't necessarily align with their values. And I think that a lot of times individuals think that whenever I donate money to a nonprofit organization or a philanthropic organization, that is me aligning my money to my values. That is true, and both can be true. That you can not only donate money to philanthropy that aligns with their values, but you also can do the same when you're spending money as a consumer. So let's delve into what that means. So, one of the things that I'm trying to get better at in this year, and I know me and my wife, we probably get way too many Amazon packages, and I think that it's out of not necessarily necessity, but I think it is out of comfortability and also saving time, right? I don't have to go to brick and mortar to actually get said supplies or items that I need when I can order them from Amazon and they can be shipped directly to my house. I never have to leave the house. While it can be inconvenient for us to have to leave the house and go to a brick and mortar to purchase things, I'm finding myself wanting to align my values with um, companies, small business owners, being a small business owner myself, I think that it's important um, to show up for each other. We are a community in ourselves, and if we can support each other, we can create thriving businesses for small businesses for everyone. If we are intentional about how we spend our money, I think I also am thinking about corporations that are rolling back their DEI efforts. You know, I try really hard not to talk about politics on this podcast because I know that I may have listeners that are on either side of the spectrum, and I try to stay somewhere in between because I don't want to push off my project my thoughts and opinions politically on others. Um, so I say all that to say that the one thing that I struggle with is when George Floyd was murdered. Uh, a lot of companies came out and they made these large DEI statements and their commitment to DEI. That was just in 2020, in the summer of 2020. Now we have fast forward 5 years later, and a lot of those same companies are rolling back those initiatives. Now, I understand that a lot of companies might say that, like, I just don't see that DEI worked and I haven't seen that really seen the growth in DI in my corporation or company. And what I'll say to that is that everything takes time. Nothing happens overnight. Um, but I find myself struggling with a lot of companies that made statements and now are rolling them back. Matter of fact, I feel more comfortable spending my money at a corporation that maybe didn't make any DEI statement versus someone that's actually not standing behind what they had mentioned, just 4 years ago. So, a couple of the companies that I think about right now that I think there's a there's a large list of them, but I think about McDonald's, I think about Walmart, I think about Coors Light, I think about Delta. These are companies that have made DEI statements that are now rolling those things back. And I think about specifically companies like Walmart, where they're in a lot of markets, oftentimes in places where there's large food deserts, which oftentimes means there are very highly populated communities of minority communities um, in these communities where Walmarts are, oftentimes very low cost. So a lot of minority individuals that may not have a ton of cash or money are spending their money at Walmart. So, when I think about that, it makes me start to think about, do they really care about their customers? Because, you know, the Bill Gates, and I'm just throwing out a very wealthy person. They're not spending their money at Walmart. A lot of the more wealthier people are spending their monies at the Targets. Um, but the interesting thing is Target doubled down on their DEI efforts. Um, and I think when you think about the pressure that has been put on a lot of these corporations with new administration and their threats on DEI, I think about how people respond when they're faced with some adversity, right? And I'm finding that, a lot of these corporations are folding. Um, I mean, we've even seen Facebook kind of roll back and talk about their DEI efforts and also all their censorship and a lot of those things. I'm not going to delve into all those things in this podcast, but all of this to say that My challenge for each of you that are listening to this podcast, no matter what side of the spectrum you lean on, I encourage you to focus more on value-based consumer spending. Um, we are greater together, and the more that we align ourselves to the values that we hold personally, the more that we're going to lift up companies that fit within our value-based system. And I think that when corporations start to see that their bottom lines are being hit because maybe you're not spending money at their corporation because they don't align with your values, I think that we're going to start to see them make some very tough decisions in this space as well. So, not to be on my soapbox today, I think that there is a middle ground in all of this, and I think that the more that we can align ourselves together, the better off that we're all going to be here. So, focus on value-based spending this year. You work very hard for your money every single day. Why not put your money where it's going to be used to good for a corporation or business that aligns with you? With that being said, the power is not in how much money you make. The power is in how much money you keep. I am your host, Andre Creighton. Thank you so much for being here with me today. This was less learning, I guess, today, more of a perspective, I guess I should say. And I hope that to see you all in the next podcast. And thank you all for tuning in. Take care.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
I think banking in general can be, at least opening a small business, can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
It has never felt that way working with Bremer. Our business wouldn't exist without an SBA loan. Bremer swooped in, held us under their wing, and walked us through it. And we ended up getting everything we needed. Bremer sees us. I mean, like, really sees us.
They're our cheerleaders behind closed doors, and who knew it was going to be our bankers?
I know, right?